Fatherhood isn't easy, but in Autismland, it's a journey like no other. Join Mark de Grasse as we explore the highs, lows, and everything in between of raising children on the autism spectrum. With real stories, practical advice, and a touch of humor, we're here to navigate this unique journey together. For dads navigating life on the autism spectrum, you're not alone.
Hey everyone, welcome to Dads in Autismland. I'm Mark de Grasse, your host, and this is where we talk about real dad stories, both the challenges and the benefits of raising children with autism. Today I have a friend of mine, Jason Vance, and we're talking about his son Joshua, who's actually 21, so a little bit older than a lot of dads come on. We do have a range though, so if you're wondering, they so far, and this is one of our 20th episodes, we've talked to dads who have small children as young as 2 to adults as old as 35. And today we're going in between. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, I know you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's been some moves, and I'm sure things have changed in the last few years. And I know you mentioned that, now at age 21, even some of the questions that I was saying we'll talk about, things have shifted. So why don't we just kind of start there? Like, what's it like to
Sure.
raise a 21-year-old son with autism?
Yeah. So, for us, he's fairly high functioning. He was when he was diagnosed as, it's a scale, right? So it was like moderate to extreme, and we ended up getting somebody in our house. We had somebody in our house 8 hours a day from the time he was 4 until he was 16. So it like tremendous help, and their program moved him along. Like he advanced, with everything they threw at him, like better and faster. And so, we went from being like he's going to be with us forever to he can now live on his own, maybe,
Oh.
right? And so that's where he's at now. He's actually living with his grandma and grandpa, my parents, on their little farm, and he wants to come home because they put him to work every day, and they make him do chores, and yeah, he's like, oh, I never knew how good home was, which is like a win for us, right? Like, the kid that hates home and then wants to leave and realizes it was better than the alternative.
That's
So
pretty funny. It's
yeah,
well, for us, for like well, that's actually a great statement because my son's extreme, and we just think like, originally when we were even looking for houses, we were always like, okay, we want to make sure that there's some kind of apartment or something where he
right.
could feel independent, but is separate. And now we're kind of like, no, that's never going to happen. But apparently it does. So that's neat. So let's talk about the move process, because did you see it as kind of like, okay, he's going to grow more if he has some separation and maybe a new perspective?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that like my wife and I have always said is, as parents, we want to raise healthy adults, right? So that's sort of our underlying theme goal for the kids. Um, and so for him, that still applies, but the rules might be a little different. And so, yeah, like it was really hard letting him go. It's like we like, yes, you're 21, but you're probably 11 or 12 as far as like, your ability and your mind and where your sort of developmental level is. But you can talk pretty good, but yeah, it's like you kind of got to let them go so that they can experience it. Otherwise, like they're gonna hate you and not listen, and
No, that's
so
I think
let
autism or no.
yeah, like any kids, right? So yeah, we try to treat him like as normal as possible while like understanding, we've literally cooked a separate meal for him every day for his entire life, right? So there's stuff like that. It's the balance between what works for him. The family art six kid, there's a lot. It's chaos anyways, and add an autistic son in that mix. The balance of like keeping the peace and not having chaos, and what's best for everybody. The juggling act always.
No, that's well, I think just putting the the challenge on them, because I'm sure if you said you kind of wanted to move out and you're like,
Yeah,
okay, well, let's make this happen. That had to be a huge step for both parties, right?
yeah, yeah. We didn't think it was going to happen for like years, right? And then so it's great that my parents can take him in, and it's safe. It's known to him, and then yeah, he now wants to come back, so he'll come back in June.
Oh wow, okay. Well, what kind of work was he doing? I'm actually really interested in that.
Yeah, so my parents are retired. They have like an acreage, and my mom's got like probably a quarter acre garden. So
Uh,
he's gardening, he's raking leaves, he's mowing lawn. They have a small orchard. It's like 6 acres where they live. So there's lots to do. The pool's gonna be need to be cleaned. They got him doing everything. A lot of cleaning, a lot of just yard chores,
No, that's
that kind
fantastic.
of
Are you going to
stuff.
transfer some of
Yeah.
that to your house now?
Well, he already does some chores around the house and always
Oh,
has. So
okay.
he's done like takes out the garbage. We make him clean his room, and like yeah, he does cooking. Like he actually cooks his own half of his own meals.
Hmm.
My wife got tired of making the rice every day, so she's like, if you want rice at dinner, you're gonna have to cook it.
Hmm.
And she taught him, and he does, and so he does. He's learning. Like one of our things, like because our sort of philosophy for raising kids was raising healthy adults. Like
Hmm.
our 5 year olds, who's now our youngest, was when they're all five, they can fry eggs and make oatmeal, and so for him, we did all the same stuff, but later, like when he
Mhm.
was 12, 14, 15.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, it's awesome that you never kind of gave up on it either, because I think that's you kind of a temptation, like, well, I guess we'll just have to handle this forever. But I think was it
yeah,
almost a requirement? Because I know, six kids, that's a lot of people.
yeah. So 6 kids, we knew when we were married, we said we wanted 4 or 6 kids, and yeah, we knew that we had to raise them different because like they got to be independent. They got to be able to like help with chores and cook and clean and be a part of the whole. And so yeah, we it's like you have you get autism thrown in the mix, and you're like, what rules do we keep? What rules do we change? How do
Mm,
we live? So we just kept the sort of core ones, like you're part of this family. Yes, you sort of do your own thing, but what are the things that we want to keep the same? And our underlying philosophy, sort of goal for the kids is raising healthy adults. Well, it's still going to apply to you. Like it's not going to change, right? So that's been a really good guiding sort of principle for us, and we always expected more from them. Like
mm.
more than more than like he was before, I guess, but less than we might expect from some of our daughters. We have
Yeah.
one boy and 5 girls, right? So
Oh,
yeah.
that's a unique situation too. That's a lot of girls. I,
And
I,
especially when he's gone, and I'm the only guy in the house right now. It's a lot
Oh
of
my
girls.
gosh. No, that's I have some friends like that. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. I
Yeah.
just have the two boys, but I know, well, a little bit of what you're saying just in terms of the balance. And I love how you kind of set that principle, you're going to be a, capable adult and not just catering to the autism. We're like, okay, well, you're not
Hmm.
capable of this, so we're not even going to try. Which of
Hmm.
course is possibly a you know, temptation for people as parents.
Yeah.
How did did your girls help out with say the autism aspects, or is more just kind of similar expectations from everybody?
Um. Yeah. I mean, so by the time our son was diagnosed with autism, we already had two other the next two, and our
Mm,
fourth was on the way, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, our oldest daughter for sure has trauma because of our son. He was fairly like, violent. He was very hard on her. Not really violent, but like, yeah, it was tough in the early days. He pushed her, took stuff, was very hard on her, and
mm,
she's got you know issues because of it for sure, right? And so yeah, we tried. I mean, the kids, they're all very, our first four kids are very close in age. There's a 5 year gap with the first four kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So at one point yeah, we had three kids in diapers at one point.
That was fun.
Because our son, he was still in diapers when he was four and not talking. And then we had the other three. So yeah, yeah, that's a good question because I don't even know like how we, I don't think we required anything from our girls for, helping with him.
Mm.
We actually treated them like they're all really close in age. So we like, okay, this is how you deal with your brother. Like this is, so he doesn't like get mad and whatnot. And um, but yeah, other than that, I think we've just sort of kept raising him like everything is normal, you know, our normal, I guess.
No, I think that's very admirable because it is again to you could revolve the whole family around the disability, which
Right.
I've seen some people do, but that could be a huge detriment to your neurotypical kids who our biggest fear was usually like we don't want my non-autistic son to resent my autistic son because of special
Yeah.
treatment or the extra attention or all those things. And so we just basically, and we only have two, so we were able to say like, okay, well, we're going to
Yeah.
spend just as much attention on your stuff as we do with your brother's stuff. And so hopefully that'll make
Right.
you, you know, have a
Yeah,
relatively normal upbringing.
I don't think our girls have resentment. You'd have to ask them, but the amount of time we spent with our son and focus on him was, way more than our daughters for sure. Right. So our oldest two daughters are very independent. Actually, all of our kids are very independent. And that probably would happen anyways because of a big family. But yeah, we just wanted to, understanding that autism is like a brain thing and a lot of it, we just always believe for more, right? That he could have a normal life. And I know when we first were introduced to that world, like every couple, every parent, everybody that we met had just kind of given up that this was their life forever and that their kid wouldn't change or progress. And we didn't really adopt that, right? We're like, no, he could learn and he could talk because when he was four, he was nonverbal, but he was making sounds. So when I say he couldn't speak English. So we found um, when we had a German family that were friends with us, and their kid couldn't speak either, like, but because they spoke English and German in their house, and so we actually thought when he was about two and a half, three, that maybe there's just some speech delay,
Mm.
but he was literally um, mimicking movies he's watching, the entire thing, and like talking them out, and I say talking, making noises that were like the entire movie script. And we're like, that's weird. He'd act the whole thing out just before it happened. And we're like, that's weird. And he's our first. So we have no grid. We have no understanding of like, is this normal? Is this not
Mm.
normal? And yeah, but yeah, our goal for him is always like, you know, how do you actually be a healthy adult? And it just might take way longer, right?
Yeah, no, and that's huge because I think that's kind of the mindset we took after a while, and it was, well, it's like a wave, right? Because it's like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
maybe he's just deaf, like he just can't hear anything, and so he's not
Right.
talking because he can't hear anything. And then we basically went through all the studies and the tests and all that kind of stuff to find out, like, okay, it's none of that. Like it's well, it had
Right.
to be autism because we eliminated literally everything else.
Everything.
But yeah, we went from like, okay, he's gonna be able to live on his own, maybe on the property, to okay, he's never gonna live on his own, even on the
Right.
property. And now I talk to dads like you, where I'm kind of like, well, you never know, and he is progressing. It just
Right.
takes something that would take an average child like a week to learn, or say a month or two for potty training,
Hmm.
is like, oh no, we're on our sixth year. I
Right.
want to
Yeah.
say.
It's everything's elongated.
It
Yeah.
takes a little bit. Now for your, because I know your daughters saw all of this. Did any of
Yeah.
them I mean, are they getting into healthcare to encourage them to get into the special needs community, or are they just kind of like, okay, my brother's
No,
autistic?
they are just gonna do what they do.
Hmm.
They're figuring out our oldest one, our oldest daughter, which is our second born, sort of became a firstborn. She took on a lot of responsibility. She has a lot of anxiety though.
Hmm.
So, and she has uh dyslexia,
Oh, okay.
right? And so yeah, she might do that, but the girls, like, they're really creative. Like, I know my one daughter wants to be a tattoo artist. I don't know how I feel about that. But
It's
yeah,
artistic.
they're all, yeah, yeah. Her arms are covered right now. Her one arm is completely red.
Wow. Is
Yeah.
it part
So
of an ongoing design or
no, it's just red. It's just all
just red?
red. It's like a bingo marker and marked her arm all red. But they're always covered. But yeah, we've been pretty careful to not let, like, our son define our girl's future either, right? So who are you? Like, I take my girls out on dates all the time, and like, what's my fourth daughter? She came home from a friend's house. She's like, Dad, I want to buy a pellet gun, and I want to go shoot bow and arrow. I'm like, all right, so
Cool.
we're gonna do that. And yeah, we've tried to, like. So I have cousins who had, like, foster kids,
Hmm.
and and I watched how their, bringing foster kids, like, impacted and shaped their life, and they want to. Some are totally mad at their parents, and the other ones are, like, wanting to do the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, but is that really, like, who you are, what you want to do? I want to make sure that we're able to help them figure that out.
Hmm. Love that.
Right. So our one daughter, like, she really wanted to get into acting, and she did some voiceover work, and then like, nah, it's not for me. So just,
That's cool too.
yeah, yeah. So it just comes back to our goal is healthy adults, whatever that looks like.
I love that. Well, it's I like when people just try stuff because a lot of times, you see
Yeah,
people and they're like, I'm gonna be this when I get older, and then it's like they
yeah,
get near it and they're like, oh my gosh, I hate this. I'm like, well, you should have tried something similar sooner. It could have saved
yeah.
you a lot of time and effort. So now I've always loved the trying things. That helps a lot.
Hey, Dad. Yeah, you. The one who stayed up researching sensory toys at 2 a.m. The one learning about IEPs while watching game highlights. We see you. The Pathfinder Collective is where dads like us connect beyond the podcast. No judgment, just real talk about raising kids on the spectrum. $50 gets you lifetime access to our Facebook group, bi-monthly workshops with experts who actually get it, and yeah, a free shirt to replace that one with all the inexplicable stains. Because sometimes you need more than advice. You need another dad who nods and says, same here, man. Go to dadsinautismland.com/pathfinder.
For you and your wife, say, having six kids and then, one autistic son, that's a ton of work, ton of stress.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any, I don't know, coping mechanisms that help with the stress of the situation, or is it just
Yeah.
you work through it?
So I made a decision early on that she would be my biggest priority, like, or
Hmm.
my first priority always, right? And so, yeah, we've literally gone on a weekly date, I don't know, 7, 8 years every week now in
Wow.
a row,
Good for you.
right? So I made her and our marriage priority over the kids and even her son, because I'm like, if her and I don't work, nothing works,
Hmm.
right? And I got the stress of running a business, having staff, not having staff, having bills, debt, all that, having a million kids, working from home, we homeschool, our lives are just insane. But I'm like, if my marriage isn't good, like, that's got to be the foundation of everything. And if it's not good, everything will fall apart. So for me, that was my biggest focus. How do we remain good?
Hmm.
And weekly dates and a lot of talking, actually.
I love that. Do you have, I don't know, subjects that you talk about? Because I know that it's easy, especially when you're going through the difficulties, is all you talk about are the kids. Do you try to,
Yeah.
I don't know, stop?
It's funny because like it's kids and work. That's like,
Because
and yeah, sometimes we are like, okay, we're no work, no kid talk. And then, what we talk about dreams, talk about desires. What do you want? What do you want to do? You know, all the time.
that's a huge tip right there, because I think it is easy, to fall in the trap of like, okay, I'm pouring everything into my kids and,
Yeah.
these problems that we have, and then never reflecting on like, well, what do you want out of this life?
Yeah, we got married with sort of a rough dream vision for our lives. And in a lot of ways, that's been the guiding post for us the entire time. For sure, there's been seasons. There's probably a good like 10, well, no, it was longer than that, 12, 14 years where we just didn't put the dream on hold, but like it's just going to be, you know, minimized in our lives. But we're not going to like, I'm not going to forget about it. This is where we're going. And, this is like our, you know, trajectory. It's way out there. And it's going to take us like way longer because we're actually going to focus on the family and the kids and a son. And I can't do both. Like there's just a limit to we're human. We can only do so much. And I wouldn't sacrifice my marriage and my kids for the dream either. But it's still been something that's like our sort of future goal. And it makes it really easy. So as long as we're both like my wife and I are both in agreement with it, we have something we can work towards, even if it's slowly. So that becomes really easy. And then, we don't have to worry about like, are you wanting to do these other things? No, the dream and the goals never really changed. And
Oh,
so we're different in it. Like we're better, we're worse. We have good days, bad days. Maybe, we accomplish it different. We move to a new city, we want to move to another new city. Like some of those things are incidental, but actually what the dream looks like and how we live and what life looks like, that hasn't changed. And so, I think that's been a really good thing for our marriage, really, which for me is like kind of like a trickle down. If the marriage is good, we can handle the kids, we can handle our son's autism, everything.
I love that. That's another huge tip, just kind of that centralized dream, whether it's going to take forever. And yeah, you wanted to do
Yeah.
it 5 years into the marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think you get a lot more realistic as life continues to go on and things continue to happen. You're
Yeah.
like, all right, well, we don't have control over like 90% of it. But
Yeah.
we could still concentrate a little bit or at least talk about it because really I think it's what do they say, energy flows where your attention goes. And so
Hmm.
it's good to have that because if it is just oh, life's a slog.
Right.
It's just going to be work and things are only going to get harder. And then
Yeah.
that doesn't help at all. And so
No.
it's really neat because I know, we've talked about our business group that we're both part of
Yeah.
on the fluctuations in business. And it's like, man, you can't predict any of this stuff. Nobody would have said,
No.
hey, the last 5 years is going to go like this. If I was younger, I would have said like, no, I can't go like that. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But in that regard, how have you kind of managed the transitions? Because I know for us, our house, when we move houses or we moved states a couple times, it was always kind of a reset for our son because it's like okay, we got to establish
Hmm.
the structure again. We got to get the everything in place, make sure the doors are locked, stuff like that. Have you come up with kind of a routine for those transitions, or how do you kind of manage that process?
Yeah, our biggest transition was moving from one city to another. And it's just a lot of like, well, we did this thing when he was early on, it's first then. Okay, so we're first gonna do this, then we're gonna do this,
Mhm.
right? And we sort of just have practiced that, but with the bigger moves, like, we're gonna move houses, we're gonna move cities, we're gonna move to an island. Those ones we just told them this is what we're doing, but we gave them as much notice. But yeah, the first then thing for transitions worked beautiful, right? And he gave notice. So we're first going to get in the car and then we're going to go, to our friend's house. Um, yeah, that was probably one of the earliest things that our behavioral interventionist taught us about how to help him transition. Because yeah, transitions were really hard.
Mhm.
Like getting him to do new things, like getting him to go places. Okay, we're first going to go to the grocery store, and then we can go to the park. Okay, we can do that, and he's not freaking out in the grocery store because we were that parent that had a son literally like screaming and wailing in the grocery aisles, and it's like, all right, we're good, we'll wait. Everybody else is looking at you like evil parents, and they're like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Our son's
this
having a
happens.
moment, and we're good. Yeah,
No, that's tough to do. Some people want to, get embarrassed about it, or I need to handle this, or get
yeah,
shamed into stuff where
yeah,
I never had that because I'm kind of oblivious to everything going on around me, especially in public, where I'm like, they can stare. I'm not gonna
yeah,
notice either way. But then I was kind of like, well, my whole thing was always like, I didn't want to disturb everybody. Like, this is
yeah. I get
my,
that.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's my situation. I'm sorry this is disturbing your situation.
Yeah,
Now I'm kind of in between where I'm like, come on. Things suck sometimes. Like, let's all stop being like,
yeah,
oh, it's all peaceful all the time. I'm like, no, it's not. And you're not
no,
helping by judging. So
no,
I'm going to discount your your view.
yeah.
Did you start like that though, in terms of handling the meltdowns and disruptions?
No, because I think before he was diagnosed, we were like, what are you like, why are you reacting to these things the way you are? And yeah, so getting his diagnosis actually like was really good for us,
Mm.
just to like calm us down. Like, what's wrong with the kid? He can't talk. You know, he's he's like, in some ways, like he's violent. Like we're at a really nice Japanese restaurant with our friends, and he just started grabbing plates and smashing them.
Oof,
I go,
that's a hard one.
yeah, it was like super tough. We're like, I'm so sorry. And like at that point, we didn't know. We had an idea, but yeah, so yeah, it was tough. Like we lost a lot of friends, not because of anything, but just because our focus shifted towards our family.
Mm.
And yeah, yeah, it's tough. It's hard all around.
Yeah, well, and I think it's well, you find out who your real friends are. That's always
It's
the
true.
kind of the
Yeah.
benefit of that. Like, oh, this is what you think? Like, okay, we don't need to see each other anymore. I think when
Right.
you're younger, you think like all these relationships are going to be permanent, because you get
Yeah.
along right now, but you're like, you don't know. And also we're different
Yeah.
people. That's why I never like
Yeah.
miss the friendships. I'm like, well, I'm not the same person at all. Like, I think if I
No.
talked to my 20-year-old self, I'd probably be pretty annoyed,
Yeah.
frankly.
And when you have an autistic child or, multiple, it changes you. You become a different. Actually, you have to become a different person,
Mhm.
right? Like you got to learn skills and patience, and you got to adapt, or your life's going to be awful.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
Like you're
ideally.
yeah, you're forced into something you didn't choose. But I think like that Tony Robbins quote, like life happens, you know, for you, not against you, right? I think I butchered that, but something like that.
That's all right.
Um, yeah, it's like, you know, there's always good. It's like everybody's gonna, if you can embrace it,
Mhm.
it's gonna be, your life's gonna be good. You can't. So we had a friend of ours. This is the only advice that I was ever given that actually landed. And the friends of ours have a daughter who will forever be, she might have been passed now, but will forever be a 6 month old, her
Mm.
developmental. Like she can't talk, she can barely walk, Blarney, she watches every day for her whole life, right? And the advice they gave us was you have to mourn normal.
Mm.
And they're like, you need to learn to like just to learn to mourn what you thought was normal. And I'm like, first I was like, that's a weird thing. But then I'm like, I kind of embraced it because you have this trajectory, for our son, or like, I have an idea what I was like when I was 18, 19, 20, 14, all these, transitions. And I'm like, he's not going to experience any of those things in the same way. And for him, it's his normal. But for me, my idea for his normal doesn't exist anymore. I have to let it go. And I learned to mourn that. And it was a really great tool for us to embrace the change and him for who he was or who he's going to be, because it was going to be nothing like what we thought it could be, right?
Yeah, that's an excellent sentiment because I think it's if you try to push it off like, no, I didn't want that in the first place, denying the situation
Yeah,
or being super disappointed all the time, like, well, he should be
right,
doing that. He got his first car when I was 16 and he's never
right,
gonna do that and all that kind of stuff. And it is just kind of projecting,
yeah,
your vision of
your
what
own
should be.
desires, yeah,
Yeah, it's like now it's fine. This is what you needed maybe, is this
yeah,
this transition and just a different experience. So that's how I tend to look at it. And it's weird because I used to hyper plan and structure what I thought the future was going to be and then I go out and do it.
mm,
Now I'm kind of like, man, that doesn't work at all. So
yeah,
I went to the exact opposite way where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months, maybe. And that's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Oh, it's like this podcast, even. Like I had zero plans for doing this. And then all of a sudden, started 4 months ago. And now I'm like, this is going great.
I
That's
love it.
fine. This is good. Or it totally fails. That happens all the time too.
Like, you just gotta try. You gotta just do it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the only thing you can do incorrectly is live in regret because it didn't go the
Yeah.
way you thought it should. Like that was going to have any impact on anything other than some thoughts you have in your head. Like that wasn't real anyways. It's fine.
No,
Moving forward.
failure is a good lesson, right? It's a good teacher, right?
Yep. And that's
And
and guess what? More unexpected crap's going to happen. And
oh yeah, 100%.
not gonna know what's happening, what's coming.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. That's really good. It sounds like you've made some amazing progress with your son. I think it's super admirable that you never stopped trying to make him advance because that's always a temptation, that parents could have.
Hmm.
Like, okay, I've done enough, I've tried hard enough, and now I'm done. And
Yeah.
then that's not good for anybody potentially, but I think the push is awesome, and it sounds like you did this with all
Yeah.
your kids, so you're very consistent at it.
Yeah, I mean, we tried. And when we were first like introduced to the autism community in our city, everybody in the group just gave up. And we're like, oh my gosh, we don't want to be here.
Mhm.
You know, sort of always felt like there's going to be more for our son, you know, more, better, different than what we thought, but there would be more, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, everybody was just, we just thought everybody just sort of gave up. And we're like, no, we don't even want to hang out with you guys then because I don't want that attitude, right?
Yeah, well, just that reinforcement of like, well, life sucks.
Yeah,
That's just how it
whatever.
is.
Pass me another beer. Like it was just like it was
Yeah.
just this weird, like, and I'm like, no, there's always hope. You can always find hope, right? And um, yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, we made a lot of different sort of like counterintuitive decisions to the autism community around us.
Mhm.
And like we kept having kids, but like they all stopped. Everybody's like, oh, we wanted more, but we had a son or daughter, and we stopped. I'm like, no, we're just gonna believe we can do it all, and yeah, we'll learn along the way. We'll fail a ton, but we'll learn, and we'll make it happen, or we won't, but we'll have a crazy journey as we go.
Yeah, and at least you tried, and I think
Right?
that's a great perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I love your story. I love what you do as a dad. I think you have a lot of really good philosophies that have kept everything on track, even if that track was not what you were expecting.
Yeah.
Not unusual. I do like to end the show with kind of a fun question for you. I thought we could do what's the show, toy, or video that runs your household like a tiny benevolent dictator? I know your son's not in the household, so maybe a past one.
Yeah, for sure. So when we were in the process of like figuring out that he had autism, he watched the Incredibles movie every day, like every day, and he would act out the whole thing like a second or two before the actual scene happened, and we knew it was like it was really cute because he also couldn't talk, but he was saying like he had his own language. He
Hmm.
was making noises, and we could tell that it was like mimicking the show. And one of his funny enough, one of his first words was he used to walk around on all fours, and the only thing he could say was like stomping robot, stomping robot. And yeah, it was fun, interesting, but yeah, The Incredibles was like for us like, oh, this our son's not normal, and he's happy when he's watching it, and it's actually fun and entertaining, and
There
yeah,
you go.
that was the show for us.
Ah, that's awesome. And there are worse movies, just so you know.
Yes. Yes, there are. Well, I don't, the stuff that he's into now, I'm like, we'll go back to The Incredibles, which is so
Go
much
ahead.
better.
Yeah, actually, my son too, because he loves that type of animation. But yeah, he got on his
Yeah.
kick with like a couple of Disney shows, and they had like the most annoying intro songs, and he would just repeat the
Oh, yeah.
song. I'm like, I think it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
Princess Sophia or something. I'm like, oh my God, if I hear that one more time, I'm gonna die. But no, that's awesome. And again, I think you've done a great job,
Thank you.
raising your kids. It sounds like, even though it's difficult, you're helping your son advance all the time. And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That the work, I'm kind of, jealous a lot of times of dads. Oh, your son does some work. I'm like, if I could get my son to like wash dishes or something, I'd be in heaven. But thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for, all
Yeah.
the
Thanks for having
stories.
me.
I hope wish your family well, and great job. I think you're doing great
Thank you.
work there. All right, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Dads and Autism Land podcast. Tune in next time for more stories. We like to keep it casual and really get into what life's like. And a lot of times we're just trying to show you that what's possible, and then also that you're not alone. That we're all going through this stuff, and your need to become a better dad of autism is actually super admirable, and you should keep doing it. So please tune in next time.